Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Hi, everybody. It's Marlene from Marlene Motivates and the Marlene Saunders Show and podcast. So today we have a Be Inspired interview, and she is a fellow content creator. It's Melissa Jane. So I'm going to invite her up and I'm going to let her introduce herself to the channel so that you can be inspired just like I am by my co-host.
Hi.
Hey. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again, Marlene. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much. So for those who don't know about your channel, I want you to introduce yourself and to talk about your channel.
Sure. Thank you again. So my name is Melissa Jane, and my channel is the same name, Melissa Jane. And right now, I'm actually doing a series all about retiring ready. So right now, we have quite a few episodes on that topic, and it goes anything from, personal finances. We talk about budgeting and debt. Then we talk about our investments, our 401ks, and our assets. And we talk about how to protect our assets. And then we also talk about wills and trusts. And then finally, we also talk about we're going to be talking about our final wishes. So there's quite a lot of things that we're talking about regarding retiring ready.
And she's going to share how is it that we can just start off by what should we do? How should we do it? Why should we get ourselves prepared? So I'm going to let MJ share her thoughts.
This topic has been so encouraging to me because when I started it, really, it was for myself. It was for me to make sure that everything that I'm doing as far as retirement and finances are in order. And in order for me to stay on track, I said, you know what, let me go ahead and do it as a series and take everybody along with me. And I'm actually quite surprised that people are inspired and encouraged and really wanting to be a part of this journey as well, because most of us are in the same boat. Now, when you get to, my age, I won't tell you how old I am, but once you get to my age, you realize, you know what, I really need to start thinking ahead. And many people are in the same boat as well. So that's what really inspired me to do it. And then in turn, it's also inspiring other people. So let's just start at the beginning. The first thing to do is, well, when people start thinking about retirement, the first thing they usually think about is, how much money do I have to retire? Or do I have enough to retire? Because nobody wants to run out of money in retirement. And I don't know if everybody realizes that it is possible to retire even earlier than the sort of traditional age. And so the first thing to do is look at our finances. Now, I'm big on this topic because I'm one of those people who are, the debt-free life and no interest, no interest this way, that type of thing. So, of course, you have to have your coins, your money in order. That means to pay off all of your debt as much as possible and as early as possible, because paying interest, it's just holding you back. It just, why pay interest if you don't have to? So, we try to live on a budget. All right. Now, what does that mean? And anybody can Google how to live on a budget. But essentially, it is spending only what you need to, or at least documenting exactly what you're spending so that you know where you're overspending, where can you cut back, and just how you're doing from time to time. Now, because I've been out of debt for too long for me to even remember, I actually stopped doing a budget earlier I actually stopped doing a budget. But once I started doing this project and I started to do a budget again and look back at how much I'm spending, I did realize that I was actually going a little bit more than I would like to. Not that I was hurting or anything like that. I was actually being a little bit more extravagant than I would normally be, because I would say I'm a pretty frugal person. But I realized that the budget wasn't being followed, and once I came back to that budget, I realized, you know what? Let us cut back in certain areas, like eating out. A lot of eating out there was, a lot of just dining out. And then once I did that, I realized, you know what? I actually can save quite a lot. Now, for most people, I know that most people are probably in debt than are not. So that's where you have to start. Those people that are in debt, to cut back on your finances, stick to a budget, and then you can know exactly how much you're going to be spending per month. That's the key place to start.
So, MJ, I have a question. So, for those of us who really don't know what it is to do, like how to even start, I think that that's the biggest thing, is overcoming that part. Like, okay, I have all of this debt. How much do I need to retire? Or where do I get started? What kind of apps or businesses should I go to? I think it's that overwhelming factor that everything is coming at us at once, that we don't even know where to start. And then for most people, they procrastinate and just say, well, it's too much, so I'll just keep putting it off because I can't do it. So I just want to ask you, like, some tips and pointers how we can be encouraged and inspired to try, even when we don't know how we can do it.
That's a really good question, Marlene. Where to start? And obviously, some people are going to have a bigger place to go than others if they're in debt. Some people may have a lot of debt. Some people may just have a little. But the place to start really is to work with a plan. And there are things and apps out there, websites and people who you can follow. Now, the person that I followed when I was getting out of debt was Dave Ramsey, and it's perfect because he has a system. A very, very simple system. He has what's called the baby steps. You can follow through the baby steps that he has on his website. So if you go to daveramsey.com, you can find that. Or you can be a part of a community. And he has a community. There are a lot of communities that can help you as far as just going step by step. And even if you wanted to follow me, as I started to do this series, we're basically up to about 8 different episodes now on this series, and you could follow me and we can work the budgets together and pay off our debt. Now, there are two simple ways to sort of attack debt. One is usually called the snowball effect, and the other one is the avalanche effect. Now, the snowball is basically paying your smallest debt first, and then once that's paid off, the money that you were using to pay off that first debt, you can pay that towards the second debt, and so on and so forth. So the monies that you have available gets bigger and bigger. So that's why they say it's a snowball. It's getting bigger and bigger whilst your debt is getting smaller and smaller. And then the other way is the avalanche effect, which is paying off your debt that has the highest interest first. And because that strategy will actually let you pay less. However, the snowball effect, the first one, will just give you a sort of an easy win, so to speak. What you've paid. Let's say, for example, you had 3 debts, a $100 debt, a $500 debt, and a $1,000 debt. So for the snowball effect, the first one I mentioned, once you paid off that 100, that money goes towards paying off the 500, and so on and so forth. So that's the first step, I would say, is to make a plan to pay off all of your debt and get started that way.
That's an awesome attack plan, because I do think it's important to have a plan and a strategy, because I noticed for me, with my debt, that once I started to see certain debts go away, it encourages you and boosts you, say, I can do this. And I just want to encourage somebody else who maybe feels overwhelmed by debt and they're trying to get themselves ready for their retirement, that you can do it. Take small steps, and then next thing you know, you're going to be in the debt-free category.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. Once you've paid off one, you get inspired, you get excited. It's almost a little bit addictive. I mean, I know that when I was doing it, I got pretty aggressive and addicted to it. And it was just a joy to see the progress being made as you see your debts getting lower and lower and lower. And you can make a chart, you can have it on your wall to mark it up, just so you can see it every day, whatever it is, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, you got to do what it is that's going to inspire you, what's going to encourage you to keep going, because sometimes you're going to feel like, man, I just wish this was over, but you just got to stick with it. So that's really the first part of this whole retirement journey. It's a journey, and once you eliminate all of your debt, you can, and even before doing so, you can find out what is your net worth. So that would be the next phase of this, to determine what your net worth is. And essentially it is what you have, what you own. What let's say, for example, you may have a 401k, you may have a Roth IRA, you may have you may have money in the bank, all of what you own. The value of your house compared to what you owe. So let's say you do have some student loan debt. Let's say you do have some credit card debt. Just add up what you own and add up what you owe and subtract what you owe from what you own. All right. And that will give you your net worth. Because knowing what your net worth is, especially your investments and your savings and so forth, that is going to have a big part into knowing if you are ready to retire. All right.
Things like, what is a normal or an average amount that someone should have to be retirement ready?
Wow, that's a real good question too. Now, I have. And as many of you know, that this is a project. This is a research project that I'm doing. This retire ready research project. It's basically me digging around, researching, watching, studying for the last several months now. And in my research, I've discovered that some of the experts will say you have to have $1 million to retire. However, other people will say, listen, you can actually retire on social security alone. So, I saw this. There's actually a guy on YouTube that preaches this all the time. He has a book about it and everything like that. However, I wouldn't rely only on social security. So even though that may be an option, that wouldn't be a goal at all of mine. You can't necessarily rely on social security alone, in my opinion. However, there is no ideal number, is what I'm finding. Right? So far, I haven't discovered that there's an ideal number. So my suggestion would be, and especially for those who are much younger, is to just save and invest as best you can. The earlier you can save and invest, the earlier you can retire. I mean, who wants to work for the rest of their life, right? So to answer that question, Marlene, to be quite honest, there is no ideal number, because I've heard from one extreme to other extremes. But most people, I would say, they have an opportunity to have a 401k in their company, even if they don't take advantage of it. And I did a whole episode on the 401k. It's literally free money that you're getting if partly if your company offers a match. So, having a 401k is a great opportunity. Having something like a Roth IRA is a great vehicle as well, because you're paying your taxes on it as it goes in, And then when you do take it out at the at retirement age, you're taking it out tax free. Other investment vehicles, just a regular IRA as well, have it in some mutual funds. So these are all the things that I'm researching right now. And what I do on the show as well is to bring in professionals, because I don't promise that I know everything. I bring in professionals in certain areas to come in and educate the audience further on some of these more detailed and complicated areas. But the key thing is, when it comes to retirement income, is to have a few different buckets working for you. The money's going to be working for you. All these years you've been working for the money, right?
Okay.
Now it's time for the money to work for you. Did you have a question?
Yes. So I wanted to ask, because I'm sure the audience wants to know, okay, I have a 401k. What is the difference between that 401k and that Roth IRA? Because people ask that question and some people think it's the same thing. So can you answer that question? What's the difference between the two, and which one is better if it is?
So the 401k is provided by an employer. That's the difference between the 401k and, what was the other one? The Roth IRA? Yeah, the Roth IRA is usually a vehicle that you can take out, independent of your company. Mind you, Roth, the companies are also still are also doing Roth 401ks too. You don't have to pay taxes on as you take them out. So the key thing is really, an employer does a 401k. But you can do a Roth IRA independent.
Okay. That's great information. I'm sure that answers a lot of questions for many. So now with the age for retirement and everything, it's changed. What really is the true retirement age? Because I've heard a few different things. Some people say it's 62, it's 65, it's 70. What really is the true retirement age?
So from my understanding, the retirement age is, or at least when you can start taking monies from your 401k, your Roth IRA, and your IRA, is 59 and a half. That's the age when you can start taking from those. All right. Obviously, if you have the money beforehand, you can retire anytime you want, but the official retirement age, I would say, is 59 and a half. Let's just talk about some of the other ages and what sort of is happening on some of those other ages. So, for example, at 62, that's the age when you can officially start taking Social Security. All right. So some people may be waiting for that age. Maybe they don't have any 401k and they don't have any Roth IRAs or IRAs. So they're actually, for them, 62 is their age because they could start taking Social Security. The age, let's just stay there for a second. So 62, like I said, you can start taking Social Security, but if you delay taking Social Security until you're 65 or 67, does it go up to 70? Can't remember. It might even go up to 70. You can actually get more Social Security. So you have to have a strategy on when you decide to take your Social Security. And if you do have these other vehicles, it can come into play. You might decide to take it at 62. It might be better for you to do it then, or it might be better for you to take it later, depending on your entire strategy. And this is the key thing that I've discovered when you're talking about your retirement, is you have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan. All right. When I first retired, which was 4 years ago, I had a plan, I had a strategy, but it was so primitive. When I'm talking to these professionals now, they're giving me such great information on what I could be doing. That's even better than what I originally thought. So this is a really, really, really good project. The other age I wanted to bring up was 65 is the age when you can start getting Medicare. So that's the healthcare portion of it as well. So what's the other? There's a 67 again. I think it's the 67 or 70 is when you can also take Social Security at those ages. And the longer you wait for SS, you can get more. I think that covers most of it.
Okay, that sounds great. So there will definitely be a part 2 then. This conversation is just to let other people know you can be inspired, that you don't have to have the same life that your parents had. You can come from not having, and then you can retire not only early, but retire comfortably. So what kind of encouragement would you give to somebody, who comes from those type of situations?
I would say for those people who have worked hard all their life, they have, let's say they've had a pretty decent job, a very good job, they have savings, they have investments, they should actually look into whether they can officially or retire just by looking at all of their finances, because they might be happily surprised. And the best thing to do would be to talk to a certified financial planner. They may be able to show them ways that they can retire sooner than they thought and never run out of money, because that's the other big worry, that they don't want to ever run out of money. Now, if you're much younger, I would definitely encourage them and try to inspire younger people, because they're not going to really start thinking about retirement until later on. But I would, that's sort of generalizing, but I would say start very, very young, because you'll be able to retire much sooner. But if they're somebody that, doesn't have a lot of means, doesn't have a lot of savings, would be just to get on a plan, start to try to eliminate your debt, because that's going to be your biggest hindrance. Work with people, or just be around other people who are doing what you want to do. They don't have to necessarily be, hugely successful or millionaires, or, so far removed from where you are. They can just be a friend next door, or a friend, a friend on YouTube. There's so many people that are doing such great, inspiring things. If you follow the right people, you can get yourself on the road to being, ready to retire, or start thinking about it. So it's something that I would say, start thinking about early. Take it a little bit, a step at a time, because there are quite a few little, sort of different moving parts, and that's why you kind of have to have a plan. And don't be too hard on yourself if you feel like, I don't have enough. You may be surprised. Once you get on a plan, you can see the sort of light at the end of the tunnel. So,
and I just want to thank you so much for, all of your thoughts of not only to retire early, but to be comfortable, but, be wise, make wise decisions and wise choices, and get a mentor.
Hi, this is Melissa Jane, and I am inspired, I am encouraged, and I am worthy. Thank you.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive.